fine, we'll do it that way. We don't really agree with it. We think it's not the right way of doing it, but we'll do it because we have to.
Obviously, you're on a really steep growth curve at this point. How aligned were you guys in the direction of the company of where it was going? Was there any points in which there was disagreements, and how were they potentially resolved?
At that point, we knew we were going to international stuff. I think of the strategic stuff we were talking about, international was a way of doing it, because then we could basically do the growth journey again in an accelerated way. We could start small, we could start cheap in the corner of someone else's warehouse. We put the software into a state, or it's grown into a state where, you could turn it with a suitcase with a scale and a scanner in it and start doing stuff. And I think we literally did that then. It was before we left Sawston that I set up Ohio.
Yeah, so we had Ohio, and then New Zealand Post came after us and actually said they wanted the system, so we went to New Zealand and did that. I think the big divide in opinion on us, though, happened when we got to the point where there was kind of commercial decisions versus, I don't know what, the kind of logic decision of like, actually, we want to do this because out of principle, this is the best way of doing it. Principally, we said at the beginning, we can't, the system we thought was a better way of doing it. And sometimes you get some big customers come and say,
do it differently.
Can I just have it done this way because I just want it done this way? And it's like, well, no, this way's better. It's like, I don't really care. I want it done this way. And from a commercial point of view, the changes they weren't that huge, but the money they were going to be spending with us was substantial. And then you'd be like, fine, we'll do it that way. We don't really agree with it. We think it's not the right way of doing it, but we'll do it because we have to. And then you end up, and this has happened a few different times. We've built a few different things for different companies, and it starts to cause a few internal, it just becomes harder to manage and issues. And I think you had more of a principled view of, you'd rather work in a company that was a bit smaller doing things the right way. Yeah. I was more interested in, what, this is a bit annoying, but if we throw enough money and people at it, the problem will go away.
This theme will come back around for the rest of my journey in the company, which was I was very, very happy to have a perfect company at whatever size it could be, but I wanted to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I was, by the end of it, shouting and screaming about firing our best clients and burying people within the...
Not our best clients... Our clients that spent the most money but had the maybe the systems.
Yeah,
challenges.
I had the entire sales team because all the sales team brought me with people I didn't want to have to jump through the hoops that they offered. So, yeah, I think my frustration was, and it brings it full circle. I had this glimpse probably around the time we moved to the next warehouse. So it was the first time I came to Northampton. I had this realization that we're 200 people now, and every one of these companies that I've walked in and gone, you guys are chumps. I was like, oh, yeah, that's because they had more than 20 people. As every business becomes a victim of scale at some level, and it's a different problem to tackle than it is that first part of the scale up. The number that Peter always mentioned, and I think gets circulated, is once you have 50 people in the company, then it's different. And I think, again, our company didn't fit that because we have this large operational contingent, 80% of our workforce being operational and 20% being the office. It just wasn't so obvious to me that when we hit a difficult scale, but by the time there was 50 people in the office, that was...
You get to a point when you know everyone's name and you can see every process and understand every process in the company, things run very efficiently. When no one person can understand every process in the company and you don't know one's name even, you get to a point where it quickly descends, where there's a process that accounts use and there's a process that sales have and there's a process that someone else has, and they don't all necessarily talk to each other perfectly. And then management comes about trying to help communication and help massage this. And however good you are, you can be good at it, don't get me wrong, it's not, but however good you are, there's always a point where it starts to break down. And you look at big PLCs, with tens of thousands of staff, and you see just huge inefficiencies. The NHS is running a prime example.